Welcome to City League Sports, the show where we get into stories about all things Columbus City League athletics. Today we have former Brookhaven Bearcat on the show, Maurice Hall, joining us from LA. I am your host, Dr. Vince Clarett, and I am honored to take you on today's march down the football field. Let's get into some stories. Sir, how are you today?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, look, we're here in Columbus. Like I shared, you're joining us from LA, and we are very thankful. We're catching up to your weather. You out there every day, loving it, sun and all that. I think we might have had our first 80-degree day here in this spring of this year, right? So we've been dealing with the weather a little bit, but we're happy to have you here with us, man.
Hey, man, no, I appreciate you guys having me, man. And like I said, I've been following you guys for a little bit of time now, and I just love what you're doing. Love how you're, showing love, giving flowers to all the City League icons, man. So I'm just, it's a privilege to be on here and be in that company, man. So
I'm indeed.
I'm excited.
So, hey, look, like, let's get into this because I read this. And I was like, is this a typo? Right. So you might even know where I'm like, is this a typo? You might know where I'm going. We're going to take you back your senior year. And as you answer and think about this information, also started with like the year you graduated. But this that I'm talking about, your senior year, you had 51 touchdowns. I read it on so many. The first one I read, I was like, that's probably wrong. Then I read it again and read it again and read it again, right? Like I read it 51 times. So talk to me about that, man. Like 51 touchdowns in a season.
Yeah, it was, that was a good year. It was a good year for me. My going into a year, there's a guy by the name of June Henley that went to Brookhaven.
Yes, indeed.
And, coming there, everyone's like, June Henley has this yardage record. So he had his yardage record was 2,500 yards a season. So, when I started at Brookhaven, which was my sophomore year, my goal was always to beat that record. And, my sophomore year, I ended up having about 1,750 yards. My junior year, which, I felt like, oh, this is the year.
Okay.
I end up twisting my ankle the first game of the season.
Ouch. Okay.
And as I kept going, I was so focused on the record, it wasn't as much about the team. It was like, how many yards I got. Every time I come to the sideline, I'm asking the staff person how many yards I have.
Yeah.
To the point where the coach, that was like the first time he was like, you need to focus on the team,
Right.
And so going into my senior year.
What year was that? What year was that?
That was 99.
Okay.
In my junior year, and in my senior year was 2000.
Okay.
So going into that year, I still had it in the back of my mind, but I had realized that, hey, I'm gonna just do me. And at that time, I'm like, I didn't feel like anybody could stop me, Okay. So it was like, hey, this is what it is, and they, regardless of how many they put in the box, they're gonna have to stop me. No fortunately enough, my junior year, we had some amazing players that, we had Danny Upchurch, who played quarterback.
Yeah.
We had, had Rodney Carter on one side as receiver. We had Andrew Lee on the other side as receiver.
Yeah. So,
trying to cover those two guys along with a player like Danny, it made things a lot easier for me too.
Right.
And, and then, so in my senior year, we had basically the same people. We had Danny Steele at quarterback.
Okay.
I had Rodney on the other side. I had a guy named Chad Wise on the other side at receiver. So, they obviously, a lot of people knew about me just from, the stuff that I had done previously. But, we went out there and, played hard, and next thing you know, I was scoring touchdowns. You
exploded it. And look here, like you're telling that story, and I'll give June some love. So like I remember June, and then obviously, man, the late Terry, right? So June and Terry, man, like we were all kids here in Columbus going to a youth camp at OSU called NYSP. And that's NYSP, right? So that's where I meet June. And just a bad dude, like you said, just out there getting it. He goes on to Kansas, and then I mentioned 51 touchdowns, which when you do the math, I mean, what is it, like 3 or 4 touchdowns every game? You're just scoring right and left.
Yeah,
But you talk about the yardage record. You went for 3,000 yards. Like, I mean, this is a season that sounds unbelievable. If somebody hears, like when I read this, I remembered you. But I didn't know it was like that. Like, I didn't know. I think I made it maybe to like one game. And I like remember like, man, that dude is for real. You know, everybody, you know, the hype built up around you. But like, I didn't know it was week in and week out like that, man.
Yeah, you know, we were, you know, I tried to come ready and do my part. And, you know, fortunately enough, I was able to get a couple touchdowns a game, and next thing you know,
ain't that beautiful?
12 games
ain't
later,
that beautiful?
we were at
A couple touchdowns a game. He says, ain't that a nice way to put it, right? Hey, so like, what even like going into that? How do you prepare mentally? I know you're talking about the record. Who was a part of your support team? You know, family or otherwise, man, that helped you get into this frame of mind of being. I mean, like here you are, 17, 18-year-old kid. And you've set these goals for yourself, which has to take a high level, a high degree of motivation, determination. So tell me about how you go into that season and what that looked like for you.
Yeah. So, you know, the funny part is, so my sophomore year, we played in the city championship against Walnut Ridge.
Show them a little bit of love. I'm a Ridge guy.
You a Ridge guy?
Yeah, I'm a Ridge guy. Even though I think y'all beat us, but I'm a Ridge guy.
We did. We did beat you.
Yes, indeed.
But the next day in the paper, it said, Maurice Hall, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
Ooh.
That's what it said. Right. So my dad, even though a lot of people was like, oh, that you know, that's, and my dad took it personally. Like, they can't even contain you. You know,
yes,
so
indeed. What's your dad's name? What's your dad's name? Show him love.
Ruben Hall.
Ruben Hall, yes, indeed. Give Ruben, yes, indeed. He gets love on here.
You know, he's taught me everything I know. Man.
There you go.
Great man.
Okay.
And you know, that going into that senior year, it was a lot, man. You know, we were pulling tires around the field. We doing drills. We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot of extra outside of, you know, what we were doing at Brookhaven. And I think it played a big part, you know, into that season because I was breaking more tackles. Obviously, I was faster. You know, I was running,
nice.
You know, at that time 4.3 something.
Ooh,
you know, so
okay, so you was moving then.
Yeah. So you know, it was one of those things that if I got a step on you, it was a wrap. So we just worked hard. We worked extremely hard. We had the faith that you know, God was gonna take care of us and was gonna give us opportunities. And, you know, fortunately I was able to get a lot of scholarships, you know, athletically and academically.
Nice.
You know, from that season. So, you know, it was a blessing, man. I
mean, the playbook must have just said like Mo Hall left, Mo Hall right, Mo Hall like that must have been the playbook, right? Because
a lot of flag for it. Yeah, we got a lot of flag for it. A lot of players was like, man, it's 3rd and 8, and they gonna give it to Maurice. You know what I mean? Like, why are we not throwing the ball? And,
because because you could go get a 3rd and 8 on first down. Yeah.
I could, you know, but you know, I just kind of, you know, stayed quiet and just played my role, man. I wasn't really one of those guys who was like, give me the ball at all times. Now, if the game is on the line, I want the ball.
No doubt. Yeah.
But you know, we get, you know, a lot of the players at you know, certain times, like, man, you know, so, but at the same time, I felt the pressure. Like, I got to get this
100%. And you know, I share this, man, like, you know, it's like sometimes, man, and I've had some situations in my life, man, where I've been in the presence of a guy like you, like I've been on a team and your competitive nature says to you like, man, right. But in the back of your mind, you know, like, yeah, the ball does got to go to Mo. You know what I mean? Like, even though you want to maybe have your chance. And that's the part that kids and young people have to learn, right? Whether and you can learn it, and that lesson carries no matter where you're at, right? I mean, if you're a pro, sometimes you say to yourself, yeah, I'm bad, but maybe dude needs to get the ball, right? Like Barry Sanders needs to touch the ball, right? Exactly. And so I get that. Man, before we get into your transition to OSU. Just give me, is there a fond memory that you have from your time at Brookhaven that you can share? Anything that pops in your mind that you just go, man, like this was a special moment. It don't even have to necessarily be athletically related. It could have been the school dance. I'm just curious to get a little peek behind, you know what I mean, something that you remember that's special for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, man. I mean, I would say that the top three that pop in my mind.
Okay, let's get it.
Was Fridays, you know, like every Friday before game day, we would get you know, our booster team would make a it would be like almost like a pin on. And they'd have your number on it. It'd be like a jersey printed on.
Yeah.
Have your jersey, and then you would go like give them to like your whoever, you know, somebody asked for.
Certainly. Okay.
Girl.
Yeah, your sweetheart.
Your sweetheart.
Yeah,
exactly.
Somebody you was a little fresh on. I get that.
You know, like, hey, like, Maurice, could I have you? I'm like, ask them, I'm saving this for somebody else.
Right.
It was but that was, you know, it was a cool moment because it kind of brought the school spirit, you know, especially, you know, we were often pretty good. Mm-hmm. So, you know, people were excited about the game, and it was just, you know, it was a good thing to kind of keep it going. Number two, I remember when I first got to Brookhaven. So initially I was supposed to go to Mifflin.
Okay.
Actually, so I wanted to go to Mifflin. So coming out of elementary school or middle school, my seventh grade teacher was a coach at Mifflin.
Okay.
So he was trying hard to get me at Mifflin.
Yeah.
And I went to a visit over there, you know, in 8th grade, and my parents hated it. They didn't like it. They didn't like that, you know, it was kind of like in the cut, no lights, you know, to drive all the way back there.
Yeah, just wasn't right for their feel.
They just didn't like it.
Okay,
man.
And everybody has their own, you know what I mean? Everybody got their own platform and what works best for them and their family. So I get that piece of it, certainly.
Absolutely. So I ended up going to Brookhaven, and I remember the first day I walked in, and I saw, you know, all these pictures on the wall. It was like all city, all state, all American. You see Terry Glenn, you see Paul O'Neill, you see June, you see the Gwen brothers. You know, it's like, man, these cats they did it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I want to be on that wall, and it was big motivation for me from an athletic standpoint. And I remember a teacher came up to me, and he was like, we got a lot of athletes coming out of here, but how many of them are going to college? Are you going to be that guy that just are a great athlete and that's all we got? And it was something that really motivated me to say that no one's going to limit me to anything, you know. And
man, you had amazing insight, man, as a middle school guy, man, like that. Man. You know what I mean? I see middle schoolers, they don't have that level of focus, and like, you know, like I'm gonna share with you when we get off the show, man. Call your parents up, man, and tell them how much you love them, right? Because they instilled in you a level of value and passion that's not normal. Right. So call them up and give them some love. I didn't mean to stop you, man. So you see the wall, all Americans, and then you're setting goals for yourself as you're there seeing it.
Absolutely. And I mean, that conversation with that teacher motivated me, and, you know, it kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder because I felt like, you know, I'm coming out of a little league and I'm thinking, oh, man, I felt like he didn't believe in me like that. And so I was determined to prove, like, I'm going to get athletic and an academic scholarship. Nice. Like, so, you know, that I was fortunate enough to graduate with 4.0. I was senior class president.
Oh,
you know,
you was
all
getting
that stuff. Along with, you know, and I happened to play football, you know, so that was one of the, you know, kind of proudest moments for me in that aspect. And then the last thing would be just like, I remember on my initial visit to tour Brookhaven, my dad talked to the principal, and he said, you know, I'm in 8th grade. Principal don't know me. He's like, he's just my son, Maurice. Right. He's going to come here, and he's going to be the best football player that's ever come out of here. And
Reuben Hall is amazing.
Yo, Reuben Hall out here speaking life.
Hey, come on, man. This dude's amazing, man.
And I remember the principal, he said, well, at least you think so. And my dad, from that day on, it was like, yo,
let's get the work going.
We
Yeah.
going to get. And, those were some great moments, man. That was some great moments. And, I really enjoyed it.
It's beautiful that like one, like I shared, man, that level of focus as a middle school guy, to have a support system. You know what I mean? I share it every time I talk to people, man, you got to have and some young people don't have that positive person in their life. And so what I try to share with them is look around your school, find the kids that are having a positive go at it, and then get with those kids. Like it's easy. It's easy to hang out with the kids that are doing wrong, but it takes a little, because you have to ask more of yourself when to do good. Like to be on top, you have to ask more of yourself. I want to jump, man. So let's jump into being a Buckeye, right? Everyone that knows you here in Columbus, we show you love. Obviously, man, Buckeyes are our team, right? And so you leave Brookhaven, 51 touchdowns, 3,000 yards senior year. I'm gonna keep throwing that out there, right? You leave Brookhaven, you go to OSU, man, and you're there. And I'll just jump like right to, because I shared with you, like our time will go fast, right? But I'll throw right at you. You're I think it's your second year. And then here you are, all y'all having an amazing season. You talked earlier about like when the game's on the line, you want the ball. And I think you had a couple big games, right? Like late touchdown games where, you had a chance to score. So give me a little bit of that. And then let's talk for a moment, if we can, man, like about the national championship. Let's talk a little bit about that, if we can.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, that was a special season. It was a season where the year before we went 7-5 with the same team. Mike Doss came back. Said he wanted to come win a national championship. And everybody's kind of looking at him like, bro, we just went 7-5.
Right.
Hold on. With the same team. We ain't got nobody new. But that belief he had in the team kind of trickled down from the seniors to the coaches to the rest of the team. And
wow.
We had a lot of close games that year. And, fortunately enough, I had an opportunity to, I started the Illinois game, which was the second to last game of the season. At that time, we were 11-0. And we end up going into our first overtime in Ohio State football history, which is crazy to think. And then I was fortunate enough to get that number called and scored that game-winning touchdown in overtime of that game, which allowed us to win and go to 12-0, and then we had Michigan at home,
right?
And I started that game as well. Obviously, it was, that was a nerve-wracking game.
Pressure is amazing, I bet, for that game, right? Like, I mean, I can only, for those that have played it, man, kudos to you all to be able to play in a game that big and enjoy in that memory in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about 100,000 fans screaming, and even just leading up to that week, it's
intense. I can bet. Yeah.
I mean, everywhere you go, that's what it's about.
Right.
So, another time I was fortunate enough, and we called a play that we had run every practice leading up to that game, and there's nobody on that team would have told you that we would ever run that play. Every time we ran it in practice, it was like, Maurice, get in here, let's run this option.
Right.
And everybody was like, well, I don't know why we're even running it. Like, we're never going. Coach Tressel is not. He's a conservative coach, right? We're not going to run an option play,
right?
And we got in the right position, and he called that play, and everybody kind of looked and was like, okay, let's do
get
it. And back there looking, I'm looking at how the defense is moving based on what we're showing them, and I knew all I had to do was catch the ball. They weren't going to catch me. So as long as I catch the ball, I knew it was going to be a touchdown. And, shoot, there we go, man.
Wow.
Wow. We're going to the national championship. So it was crazy.
What you just shared is part of the beauty of sports. And what I share with people is that, man, like these experiences become so memorable. Like you can feel it and see it. Like you talked about that just now, like it happened last week. You said like, hey, look, man, we never gonna run this play. Here we go, the crowd, the 100,000, and that's the beauty of it. So then here you all get an opportunity to play, obviously for a national championship. And I can remember at the time, like just being, one of the things for me, man, being a Columbus guy, I just root for us. So wherever you land, I'm just gonna root for us, and you know what I mean. Like I just want to see us out there, you know, having our mark and doing our thing. And I can remember watching the game and whatnot. But tell me about your like what do you remember from the game, the experience, or something that you that kind of holds with you that you want to share?
Well, you know, it was a special moment because I felt like, you know, that was like that season, especially national championship, that was bringing the fans like belief back, right? Like I feel like we were all in this together. Even you know, they wasn't on the field, but it was like everybody was like, we in this.
Nice.
And you know, especially, and then we went to Tempe, Arizona for that week, and you know, fans showed up.
Yes, indeed.
You know,
Buckeye fans show up.
Man, they showed up, you know, and it felt like a home game, you know, to that standpoint. And it was just a really special moment, man, when we ran out that tunnel and, you know, there's, you know, the lights, you got the fireworks, you got all kinds of, you know, and you look in the stands and you see family, you see our fans, and it was a special moment, you know, and then obviously all the celebrities and former players on both sides coming back, and you see Warren Sapp on the other side,
right.
and Eddie on our side, and you know, so many different guys, and it was just like, man, this is big.
Yeah.
This is a big game.
Yeah.
You know, it was a special. That whole week was special, you know, just going the opportunity to go to the jail and like give back and, you know, just inspire people.
That's the stuff that people don't get to hear about, right? They don't get to hear about while you're there and the effect that you can have on a community and how you can uplift people, right? Because individuals, man, like we become inspired by sports. We become inspired by those that have a platform. Like you have a platform. Here you are, man. You've had this body of work in your life, and you've been able to do all of these special things, man. You know, you're a kid. You have a dad who believes in you, sets the stage for you to do these wonderful things, and then you go from Brookhaven. You go on to OSU. You represent extremely well. You play for a national championship. So then when you look back. And part of what we're going to talk about, right, is like fond memories. But like I want to also hear about like your challenges, like how did you persevere at OSU? The challenges that you maybe faced. You know, you go there, you're 4 years, you get your degree, you do all the hard work, right? So tell me about a challenge that maybe while being a Buckeye you faced, and then how did that help you with just life in general?
Yeah, I mean. It's, you know, there was definitely challenges, especially, you know, that national championship year. You know, I was talking to someone earlier, but, you know, it was going into that year, you know, the summer, winter conditioning, you know, obviously that was the year Reese came in as well, Maurice Clarett.
Okay.
And, you know, he had a lot of hype behind him. And, you know, the way he came in was like, he's the man, right? That's how he came in, and as, you know, a player should.
Right.
Up to that point, all the talk was, you know, because you know how the, you know, reporters are always asking coaches, okay, so, you know, right now, if someone started, who would it be? Blah, blah, blah. And it was always me.
Okay.
No, it was always me. And going up into the first game of the season, it was me. And then literally like 2 days before the first game, a reporter comes up to me and he's like, how do you feel about Maurice Clarett starting? And I'm like, what? You
19 years old when that happens?
Yeah, I'm 19.
Okay. I'm 19. Wow.
And that was a moment for me because I felt, you know, one, I should have gotten that job. Two, you know, the communication of like a reporter knows before I do.
Right.
You know, that felt, you know, that made me feel some type of way, you know, and, you know, coming out of high school, you know, I had two really hard choices. You know, I was born in Miami, Florida, and I grew up a Florida State fan. You know, I was born, you know.
We don't know that in Columbus. That's a good one. I love that. Okay.
I was a Florida State fan. So I wasn't even really an Ohio State fan, and really until I started getting recruited.
Okay.
You know, but when I grew up, you know, it was Ward Dunn, it was Charlie Ward, it was Peter Ward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, to the point where once I started getting recruited, Ward Dunn actually called me on the phone and said, hey, my number is retired at Florida State, but if you come, you can have it.
Wow.
At number 28, right? So, it was a lot of pressure. Bobby Bowden came to my house, and all that. So you got this whole thing. So choosing Ohio State, it was one, I wanted my parents to see me play. That was the main reason I went there. But it was also like, I felt like I would be protected, because, I'm a city, I'm 12 minutes away.
Right. This is home for you.
This is home. Yeah. So it was, that moment I felt a little betrayed. I felt a little betrayed. And, granted, we went throughout the season, we won games. Reese played extremely well.
Yeah.
And and I had an opportunity to make some plays as well, but it was mentally, it was challenging, to the point where we're undefeated, and I'm reaching out to Oklahoma, I'm reaching out to Florida State, like, hey, you better be lucky
if the transfer portal was in place.
Transfer portal wasn't available then, because I would have been out.
Right. And let me share this real quick. This piece I'm going to say right now, this is for all leaders, coaches, teachers, principals, parents, whoever you are out there leading and anything. Communication is important. Here you sit as a man. We're appreciative that you've joined us. We're having a blast here, and we're speaking today. And the lack of communication still resonates with you because it didn't have to play out that way, right? And I don't, and I'm not calling anyone out, but I'm just sharing as a lesson for everyone, right? Like if you communicate, you can help the narrative a lot better. Right, you can help a young Maurice Hall at 19 years old understand the decision. And I think a lot of times what happens with people is they say like, well, I don't owe anybody. I don't got it. Well, no, but you got to think past maybe if you owe someone or whatnot and care for the person. I mean, like as a Buckeye, like Buckeye fans here, we're all obviously happy that you stayed, right? And it becomes a part of, Buckeye Nation is a part of you. And I know like just what you all do, alumni standpoint, all those things, it provides tremendous opportunities and connections for you as you continue to go into your life. But that's an interesting piece, man, that you find out that way. And so then you hear that, and like you said, you're doing all these other things. So how do you get through that?
It was, obviously prayer. It was a lot of prayer, man, because, I was ready to go. And once again, my parents kind of came in, was like, let's hold on for a second. And, let's talk to God about it, and after some prayer and, some family time, we decided we were going to stay. And, we did. And, and then that's kind of, fortunately enough, that's when I got some opportunities, to the point where, I had an opportunity to score a couple big touchdowns.
Nice.
That helped us, win some games and play for the big one. So,
right.
It worked out that season for sure. Obviously, I would have liked it to be different,
right
overall, but everything happens for a reason, and I think there's always divine intervention, man.
There you go.
I take control for sure.
So check this out. I started the show, and I said you're joining us from LA, right? Mm-hmm. I want to get into some of what you're doing now, and so here's the thing. I'm going to ask you a question. I need you to give me a very short, like almost one word response, because I have a story that has to go with your response, right? Okay. So you're in LA, and what are you doing now?
Acting.
Stop right there. Yes, indeed. Here's the beauty of that, right? So my daughter and I, we love to watch the television show To Tell the Truth. Come on, man, right? So we're watching To Tell the Truth, one episode, and between me and her, we like to guess who's telling the truth, right? And so Anthony Anderson is the host. It's a fun show. You can enjoy it. And then three people walk out. For those that don't know this, so three people walk out and they're telling a story, blah, blah, blah. So three people walk out, and I look and I see you. I said, hey, I'm sitting there saying to myself, this portion is rigged, right? Because I'm going to win because I can eliminate you because I knew you weren't the person, right? And then I don't even remember what it was about, but there was another person on the show. And I think you all had on suits. Everybody was cleaned up, suits, shirt and tie. Y'all was polished. But one of the people, their suit, you could tell like probably wasn't even theirs. It looked like they almost just like maybe rented it. Right? I don't know who the other guy was. So I'm sitting there, and then I said, so it's like number 2, right? You know, for the show. I said, it's number 2. My daughter said, how you know it's number 2 already? Like y'all haven't even said anything. And I said, so I said, well, look here, baby. I said, look, that guy right there, man, is a Columbus great. That's Maurice Hall. He's on the show. I know it's not him, right? Because he's a former Buckeye, Brookhaven guy. And then the other guy said his suit, his jacket don't fit him. So, you know what I mean? I could tell right away he didn't have his jacket didn't fit him right. And so now, you know what I mean? So I was able to guess it right. But I saw you and I said, man, that's nice. And then that prompted me a while ago, before I even knew we were going to be sitting down today, to then all of a sudden like rediscover you, look you up. So now let's go into it, right? So and you can share whatever you want about that episode, but I had great fun that day watching you. But you're in LA, man. You're carving out a new path for you. You're in this arena. So share with us. They're giving me the cue that we're close to time, but I want people to hear what you're doing now, and you share what you want to share about what's going on in LA for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, been out here since 2009, man. And, you know, it started slow. You know, I came up here by myself, and from 2009 to 2013, I had 89 auditions and I didn't book one thing. You know,
lessons learned.
Like, what are we doing? You know, Maurice, you got a master's degree, come back home. Right. And, you know, I'm sure you can get a job with somebody who's going to pay you some good money. Right. And I just had this passion for acting, you know, after football, and I said, I'm gonna stay, you know, and granted, I rode the bus for 2 years with a Mercedes-Benz in the garage because I couldn't afford to put gas in it.
Wow.
You know? Right. But, you know, fortunately in 2013, I booked my first job with the Mindy Project on Fox. And then, you know, things have been great since, you know, things have been progressing since. Nice. And now I'm writing, you know, and I'm writing you know, I'm producing a movie about my parents' life of, you know, right now overcoming drugs and finding God in order to be there for their kids. And it's called The Seed, and we're looking to shoot this year. And, you know, that's my motivation, man, is to kind of inspire others through entertainment. Kind of like you said, you know, sports and entertainment are the leading, you know, influencers in this society. And, you know, that's one thing that I want to make sure I can do, is influence others to be great, you know, to take chances and believe in themselves, and, you know, all those different things that, you know, my production company stands for. So that's where we are.
Hey, I share this as we begin to sound off, right? And I haven't shared this yet, but you're probably the perfect, and along with others that have been on the show, but you're the perfect person and for me to share this narrative. A lot of times, and you know this, you know, being from Columbus, you know, people like to beat up on what we're doing in Columbus City. You know, whatever the naysayers like to say. But what I like to share is that, man, like, you know, those of us that are out here getting it and trying to be successful and trying to, you know, to affect the world and just be great people and enjoying life, you're not there in spite of Columbus City. Like, that's a part of your fabric. You know what I mean? And to hear you say you're a kid at Brookhaven, 4.0, valedictorian, president of the student council, and doing all these wonderful things, that helps get you to a space where now you sit and you're in LA and you're writing and you're acting and you're living out another chapter. All of that has helped prepare you and prompt you for that. Man, we are blessed here to be a part of your story. Excited that you got a chance to join us, man. I hope that we find a way to get you back on the show, man. And because man, you know what I mean? Like we got to find a way to get you back and just talk, you know what I mean, some football and talk junk and whatever that may look like, right? But you've been amazing to join us here this morning. I'm going to allow you, before I read the outro, man, share any last pieces that you want to share, and then we'll read the outro and we'll get out of here, man. Really, 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 really appreciate you being here with us.
Hey man, I appreciate you guys, man. Like I said, it's something that when you reached out, I was super excited to be a part of because I love being from the city of Columbus, and it's something I've definitely taken with me from the experiences that I've gotten just from growing up in Columbus and going to a place like Brookhaven. So, that experience motivated me to start my company, Motivation Unlimited, which is
Nice.
my production company, and we stand by the 5 principles of education, healthy living, persistence, work ethic, and faith. So
Mm.
everything that I do from a producing standpoint, from a writing standpoint, is centered around one or more of those 5 things. And I took all that from my experiences in the city, man. So I
Well,
appreciate it.
well, we're following you. We love what you're doing, man. Much blessings to your next endeavors. I gotta read this outro, and we'll read it, man, and then we'll get off the air here today, man. Really appreciate you. Much respect. Mo Hall in the house today. Be sure to catch all future episodes on radio WCBE 90.5. Also catch us on Spotify, Apple, or the platform you prefer to listen to your favorite podcast. Additionally, follow us on Instagram, City League Sports 614. Until next time, I am your host, Vince Clarett. This is Mo Hall, and this is City League Sports.
Here we go.
Yes, indeed.